everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel, Glam By Sam. As you guys may probably know, today is the very last day of Vlogmas since today it's Christmas Eve. And I said to you guys I would be uploading every single day up until Christmas Eve, so I have time to enjoy Christmas and everything. So this is going to be the very last day of Vlogmas, but not to worry, I am still going to be uploading next week, just not every day. I think I'm going to try to do like 3 or 4 times a week, so you'll still have tons of content for me, but just not every single day. But for the last day of Vlogmas, I wanted to do a video that I was super excited about, and you guys know I love eyeshadow palettes. And earlier this year I did a video about if I could only keep 10 eyeshadow palettes, which ones I would keep. I was thinking about it, and I think I'm going to be choosing mostly different palettes now since I have newer ones in my collection. So therefore I thought I would do an updated if I could only keep 10 palettes video. So without further ado, if you want to see which palettes I would keep if I could only keep 10, then please keep watching. So just to clarify, if you're not familiar with the concept, basically if all your eyeshadow palettes had to go and you could only keep 10, which ones would you keep? So it's not like these are my 10 favorite palettes, they're like which palettes I would keep to still have like a variety in my collection, if that makes sense. But most of these are favorites, so let's get started. I'm not going to be ranking the palettes, so the palettes I'm going to be showing you are going to be shown in no particular order. But the first palette I would keep is the BH Cosmetics Passion in Paris palette. You guys know this is a really nice palette, and the reason I would keep this palette is because of how unique the shades are. As you can see, this is not your everyday palette. It just has your very dark blues and your dark reds in here, and I absolutely think this is a gorgeous palette. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, you just have a lot of darker shades in here, and I would keep this palette in my collection to have some variety. This is pretty much the only palette I own with these like blues in there, and I think they're so special. And even though I don't wear blues on an everyday basis, definitely not, I do think they're fun for the occasion, and I would really like to keep this palette to have the blues in my collection, just so I'm able to create deeper looks as well. So this is the first palette I'm going to be keeping, the BH Cosmetics Passion in Paris. The second palette I'm going to be keeping is the palette I'm wearing today. I'm wearing this combined with the Celestial Pearl palette, but the palette I want to keep is my Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Instant Eye palette. You guys know I absolutely love this palette. I haven't used this in quite a long time, but I absolutely love this, and I used it today and I've fallen back in love with it. It's so beautiful. So this palette just has all your pinky beachy neutrals in there, and it's absolutely beautiful. You can create so many gorgeous looks with this palette, and since I love this type of color story, I feel like I just need to have this palette in my life if I could only keep 10 palettes, because this is a palette where I'm definitely able to create like really gorgeous everyday looks, and I just absolutely love the Pillow Talk color story. I highly recommend this palette if you like this color story as well. It blends amazing, it just works so well, and I absolutely adore this little palette. So that is the Pillow Talk Instant Eye palette. Then I would of course also keep the Charlotte Tilbury Instant Eye palette in Smoky Eyes Are Forever. This was at the top of ranking all of my eyeshadow palettes for 2021. This is currently my favorite palette because of how many different looks you can create with this. So as you can see, the color story of this is just really versatile. You have your greens, your like warm tones, and then some darker tones, and I just absolutely love this palette. I love all the looks I can create with this, and like I said, I just want to keep this palette because of the variety of looks you can do with this. I don't really have an all green palette in my picks, so I thought I would pick this one to still have some like green in there, because I don't really like green, but I do like wearing green eyeshadow occasionally, and it's just really nice that you have the like warm tones in here and also like a black shade to deepen some looks up a little bit. So this is definitely a palette I would keep if I could only keep 10. I would also keep my Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. This is a really nice palette. I do really enjoy this, and even though it's not available anymore, the reason I would keep this is also because of the variety of shades in here. look how absolutely beautiful these shades are. As you can see, you have some like pastel shades, some darker shades, and I really like the pops of like brighter shades. I just feel like you can do a lot of looks with this, which is why I would keep this one. And also I really love the quality. I know Too Faced isn't like super popular anymore, but I still really enjoy this palette. I think I'm going to pick up the newer one as well from this year, the Cinnamon Swirl, but I'm waiting until it gets a little bit more discounted. But yeah, this is a beautiful palette and I would definitely keep this because I absolutely enjoy using this palette and it has a lot of variety in there as well. And you guys know me, if I could only keep 10 palettes, I need to keep my Natasha Denona Retro palette. This was one of my favorite palettes from this year. I absolutely love this palette and I'm so glad I picked it up. But this one I think I got like 15% off, and even though it was still a lot of money, I knew that this was going to be a color story that I would absolutely love. So this is what the palette looks like. I'm sure you guys have seen this multiple times because it's really popular. But yeah, I do really like this. So for the days where I would want a bit more cool tone looks, I would really reach in this one because this is an absolutely beautiful palette and you can just really create like beautiful mauvey looks that go really well with this sweater as well. I really enjoy this palette. It's so beautiful. So that is the Natasha Denona Retro palette. Another one from Natasha Denona, I wasn't sure whether to include because I don't really reach for this a lot, but I was thinking, what palette do I need when I could only keep 10? And I do need a warm toned eyeshadow palette, and I realized I don't have a lot of warm toned eyeshadow palettes in my collection, so I went with the Natasha Denona Bronze palette because this is a really good warm toned palette. So you guys probably know what this one looks like as well. I especially really love the mattes in here. I think they're really beautiful and you're definitely able to create gorgeous looks with this palette. The reason I don't use this one as much is just because I'm not always the biggest fan of warm toned eyeshadows. Usually I prefer reaching for something a bit more neutral or cool tone because I don't always love how warm tones look on me, but for the summertime or maybe the fall, I do like wearing warm tones every now and then, so I thought I would include this one as well to have some variety. Like I said, I don't want all my eyeshadows to be like pinky mauvey tones, so that is the Natasha Denona Bronze palette, and like I said, this is a really good warm tone palette. Another one I would keep, of course, the Tartelette Juicy palette. This palette is so me. I absolutely love this, and I've talked many times on my channel about how underrated this palette is. So this is what it looks like. Like, doesn't it match my sweater beautifully? I really love this. So this is what it looks like. It's super pretty, and I even love the shimmers in here, which some people said the shimmers were very lackluster. I don't really get that because on me they're absolutely beautiful, and this is a palette, every time I just reach for this, it just makes me happy. And I think that's one of the most important things with makeup. You need to wear what makes you happy, and this is definitely a palette for me that does make me happy when I use it. So that is the Tartelette Juicy palette from Tarte. Of course, I had to keep this. That was number 7, and of course I would keep Charlotte Tilbury quads as well. So the last 3 palettes I'm going to be showing you are Charlotte Tilbury quads. Even though these are tiny little palettes with only 4 shades in there, they're palettes I use so much that I cannot live without them. So if I could only keep 10 palettes, I would still keep these. So the first one is one that's no longer available, but I would still keep it because it's the Fire Rose palette. This is such a beautiful palette. I've showed you guys this before, and I always feel bad when I show this because it's no longer available, and I know some of you guys have absolutely been wanting to get this, so I hope she will bring this back sometime. But I just love this. Look how pretty the shades are. I just love all the looks I create with this, and especially for the Christmas time, this is a really beautiful palette, so I would keep that one. I would also keep the Uptown Girl, and this is a palette that I've mentioned before that I think is really underrated. Gray eyeshadows or like cool tones in general can look so beautiful on a lot of people. I really like it on me as well. So this is what this looks like. So I really like this quad for days where I just want a cool toned gray eye look, and this one always looks beautiful on the eye, so I would really keep this one. So like I said, this is the Uptown Girl, and it is a beautiful cool tone palette. So if you are looking for a cool tone palette, then I would highly recommend this one. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the last palette I would keep was kind of a surprise to me. I was just thinking, you know, which one would I keep? I was doubting between the ColourPop Going Coconuts one to have some like neutral browns, and I'm just kind of over ColourPop, so I'm not sure if I would keep that palette because it doesn't really excite me anymore. And a palette that I recently got that does excite me very much is the Charlotte Tilbury quad in the Queen of Glow. This might be a surprise to you guys because I know this isn't like Charlotte's most popular quad, but look how beautiful it is. I posted the picture of this on Instagram and so many of you guys thought it was pretty as well, and I would just keep this because it's an absolutely beautiful color story. It works really nice, and every time I use this palette it just brings me joy, and like I said, that is so important when you're using makeup, that you're enjoying what you're using. So that is the Charlotte Tilbury quad in the Queen of Glow. I really recommend this. It's so beautiful and I absolutely love this little quad. So that is the Queen of Glow quad. And then those were all the palettes I would keep if I could only keep 10 palettes. Like I said, my eyeshadow preference do change quite a bit, so if I'm sitting here in like half a year time from now, it can be totally the case that I'm choosing different eyeshadow palettes, so I can totally keep making these videos to sort of like do updated versions of them every half year maybe, because I do think it's fun to see how your eyeshadow preference can change. I would love to hear in the comment section which palettes you would keep if you could only keep 10 palettes, or even let me know like 1 or 2 palettes that you would definitely keep. I want to thank you guys all so much for watching this video, and I also want to thank you all for watching my Vlogmas videos. I had so much fun uploading every single day, and I really appreciate that you guys took the time to watch my videos as well. So I really hope you guys have an amazing day, and I really hope to see you in my next video. Bye!